My name is Carl Olivieri, and I'm sitting here today with Mr. Liam Sobey, an MBA 1 candidate here at McGill University. The reason why we're putting these interviews together is one, to give you a little bit more information about the program here at McGill, but also to share some of the profiles of the types of students that are attending the institution here. Liam, could you walk us through your career in education to date?
Yeah, absolutely. So although I was born and raised in Nova Scotia, I did my undergrad actually at Concordia University. I did a BA, a double major in political science and philosophy, with a minor in modern standard Arabic language and culture. So quite left field, and actually some of that has led me actually to the MBA to date. But with regards to some career history, I started working in grocery retail at roughly 14 or 15 years old at store level. I started working in the meat department and bounced around different departments of the store in Atlantic Canada and through various roles and operations in Atlantic Canada. When I was doing my undergrad at Concordia, I continued to work in the stores at IGA, in the produce department predominantly, but again through various roles in retail operations. After I graduated, I did a brief stint in Halifax out of Sobey's National for internal auditing, which was predominantly an operational audit role. After that, I did a one-year internship, I guess, with the Body Shop out of their international office in London, England, which was essentially a customer reach role in which we tried to gain new Body Shop customers without having the capital expenditures of building new stores. So we did customer reach initiatives such as duty-free shopping, shop-in-shop initiatives in larger retailers, projects along those lines. After that, I was enrolled was accepted into a assistant store manager training program with Thrifty Foods based out of Vancouver. So I did that for roughly 6 to 7 months, and then due to the fact that we were in a period of growth, was awarded a store in the Lower Mainland in Coquitlam, BC. So I was a store manager for just under 2 years, roughly a year and a half in Coquitlam, BC. After that point, I wanted to get more into the consumer goods side of the business, so I was accepted into a role in category management with IGA as well, based out of Montreal. So I moved back to Montreal and did that for about a year, at which point I was accepted and enrolled into an MBA program at McGill.
And what made you decide to attend business school?
I felt that in my day-to-day there were more and more challenges that I was being faced with that required a level of analysis that was above my competency, and that I wasn't able to provide the level of sophistication that was demanded of me. Now, if I were to stay in that role throughout a number of years, there's no question that you can learn these types of things and grow that way. But I felt as though without potentially the MBA offered an avenue through which I could really expedite my growth quicker. But above and beyond that, I enjoy business and I find it quite interesting. So ultimately, there was a personal drive to be enrolled in an MBA program. So there was kind of the personal and the professional side of things.
And why here at McGill?
I quite like the teaching methodology at McGill. I found that with researching different schools, the integrative approach that they have, it quite spoke to me. Also, when I sat in on a few classes and spoke to some of the current students last year, I felt as though there was a really closely knit culture within the school, both within sort of the student body, but between the teachers and the students. So those two aspects really spoke to me. I mean, obviously there's some great programs out there, but for me, I felt as though McGill would have been a pretty good program.
You have a bit of a peculiar undergraduate degree. What were the major differences you've seen between your undergrad and the MBA here? Definitely.
So I would say that first of all, there's probably the biggest difference I see is the level of time required to commit to successfully do a project or to do an exam. And I would also say that the level of sophistication is quite a bit different. The MBA program requires not just that first level of analysis, but maybe 2 or 3 or even 4 past that, because some of the points you get challenged on are not necessarily the immediate consequences of your decision, but are further along down the line. So I'd say obviously the time required, but also the level of sophistication of the analysis that's required for problems and for exams.
Were there any aspects of the MBA program that you weren't necessarily expecting or that surprised you?
Yeah, I mean, I'd say that probably the 2 main areas that not necessarily took me by surprise, but were potentially more overwhelming than I thought were definitely on the academic side. I mean, with no, really financial training, some of the finance statistics, more of the quant related classes, I found a little challenging. But the second thing actually that I found quite surprising was how well as a group, all of our colleagues really clicked together. With the class of 75, you're really forced to get to know a lot of your classmates, whether you like it or not. But so there's obviously a concern there with different personalities clashing and whatnot. But I think for the most part, it's actually quite tremendous how our class really gets together. So those are probably the two things that I was quite surprised with.
Great. I'd actually have to agree with that.
Yeah.
It's not often you see MBA students chasing jobs in the food industry. Why do you think that is?
That's a good question. I mean, obviously the MBA tends to cater more towards the finance and potentially consulting industries. That's a good question, but I think regardless of the fact is, as the food retailing and the food industry in general gets more and more competitive in Canada, which it probably will remain for the next few years, I think, ultimately companies and businesses will be looking for strong talent. So whether people initiate their MBA career with the food business in mind, I think we'll see that some of the retailers will probably do a lot of headhunting for strong talent. So.
And what exactly are your plans once you finish your MBA here?
I mean, I know that I want to get back with Sobey's. I know that I enjoy business development. There's a few different areas that I am interested in. I'm doing a double concentration in strategy and finance, and one area that I'm very interested in is, as I said, business development. But I've still got another year and a half or so I'm not too sure in terms of role or area. But obviously a lot of roles are migrating towards Toronto, so that may prove to be an area of opportunity, but I guess we'll see what the future has to hold.
Fantastic. Liam, thanks a lot for sitting with us and taking time out of your busy schedule to do this interview.
Thank you.